If you love Chevys, then this is the place for you. This is the Menards Chevy series, where we tour the country to find the finest race cars and rides that are part of the bow tie breed. Welcome, car lovers, to another edition of the Menards Chevy series. This week, we're coming to you from the Bristol Dragway, better known as Thunder Valley, in Bristol, Tennessee. And we've got Chevys, and more Chevys. That's what it's all about. Hello again, everyone. I'm your host, Ted Jones, and let's get started with one of our award winners. This is the OPGI Original Choice Award that belongs to David Melton. Now, you would say, well, it's a 67 Chevelle. It is really sharp and pretty. But it's not only the car, it's the story behind the car. See, he's owned this twice.
I bought this car in 2000 because my wife wanted me to have a hobby. And my daughter and son-in-law got married in it. We had 10 muscle cars during the wedding. After that, I sold it to a guy in the Chevy dealership in Oklahoma. And I should have never sold it, but yet he was gracious enough to sell it back to me. Not for what I sold it for him for, but a little profit.
Well, no, that's what Chevy dealers do.
That's right.
That's how they keep the doors open. Now, you couldn't leave it alone. You had to make it yours.
Yes, sir. I had the engine taken out, had it bored over a little bit, so it's got 450 horse. I've had the firewall smoothed and the wheel wells all taken care of. Had it repainted, and I've done very well at the shows with it, so I'm very thankful that I have it.
Believe it or not, David said this is the original interior. It hasn't been replaced. However, I think that console was black.
Had that re-smoothed so we can make it more look like the car itself, and so just a little bit custom so it fit my taste, I guess, myself.
Now, obviously, this is not the stock steering wheel or the stock steering column. And the Chevelles back then, well, they had what they called idiot lights. We didn't like those. We want to know what that engine's doing, so he put some nice analog gauges in it. Good touch. So I asked David, hey, what's up with the Superman logo in the trunk?
When I was a kid, I always wanted a 67 Chevelle because I always thought they were tough. I always thought they had the great muscle. So I relate Superman with muscle. So I've always enjoyed that.
What's the most popular Chevrolet ever produced? The 1957 Chevy. That's a no-brainer, and you couldn't do one of these Menards Chevy series without doing a 57 Chevy. We got to do several of them a year because they're so popular. But folks, I've looked at a lot of 57 Chevys restored over the years. I don't think I've seen one that is better restored to absolute dead stock original than this one that belongs to Ansel and Wanda Cross. Why? Well, let's go up front, take a look underneath the hood. Let me show you some things. Remember the glass windshield washer that they had? He's got the decal on it. Now, here's something unusual. They didn't have alternators back in 1957. They had generators. And if you wanted power steering, they put the power steering pump running off the back shaft of the generator. That way you could run them both with just the one fan belt. A lot of little things in here. He has all the safety markings on it. He's done everything to make this absolutely correct, right down to the Delco battery over there. Beautiful job restoring it. The only thing you might fault on this car, it is so perfect and so beautiful. I really question if it was that gorgeous when it was brand new from Chevrolet. I mean, look at the paint job he's got up here on the front of it right here. He's got all the correct decals, all the markings, including the Delco Remy, built in Anderson, Indiana, by the way, sticker right here on the generator. Take a look at the master cylinder right here with the first version of power brakes. This thing is loaded. The original interior, absolutely beautiful and restored. The original dashboard, everything is perfect on this Chevrolet Bel Air. So he spent a lot of time restoring. I don't wonder how long.
I've owned this car since 1990. I restored it in the 90s, but then I restored it about in the last 2 years. Took it all back apart and restored it again in the last 2 years. We had about 1,000 man-hours total in this re-restoration, I should say.
Folks, in the trunk right here, look, he's got a shop manual. He's got the sales literature from 1957. New car inspection adjustment from Middle Point, Ohio. Are you ready for that? That's where the car was originally delivered, May 5th of 1957. Here's an original spare tire, BF Goodrich 75014 Silvertown, okay? He's got the original jack back here. Here's the jack instructions, and of course, twin electric antennas. Now that's cool. You recognize the hood ornament on this producer's choice? That belongs to a 1954 Chevrolet, probably one of the cleanest restorations I have ever seen. But this car is loaded with gadgets. What's that sticking off the front fender up there?
Those were called fender guides, and I actually found those in their original packaging at a swap meet from the early 50s, 60s from J.C. Whitley. And you'd put them on the front fender guides so you could see where your fenders were when you were turning.
You've got like the traffic light thing that you can look at?
Yeah, we call that a viewfinder, and it's cut glass, so basically when you're sitting at a stoplight, you can look through the cut glass and see when the light changes, instead of doing this number the whole time.
I've seen that. I've seen several things. I don't think I've ever seen a cigar holder.
Yeah, cigar holder. Yeah. I don't even smoke cigars. I've got all kinds of smoking gadgets on here, and I don't smoke any of it.
Like, for instance, the sun visor right here. We got some wind deflectors right here on the vents. And we got this thing right here.
That's an air conditioner unit. They used to put water in there, and as they drove, it was forced air, kind of like a swamp cooler, and it would just blow air back into it. Now it really just leaks water all over the place.
Have the original six-cylinder.
Original six-cylinder, 235, blue flame. Everything's original on it. The car itself's only got 45,000 original miles on it.
No.
Yeah.
Where did you get this?
I bought it off a guy in Columbia, South Carolina about 12 years ago.
Did it need restored?
No. I mean, I've done a lot to it. We repolished it and put a lot of chrome and a lot of the knickknacks and stuff, but he was the original owner of it. So.
Wow, one owner.
One owner.
I like the fender skirts. That was a nice option back in these 53, 54 Chevrolets. Oh, yes, and the car club plate right here, that's original. It belonged to his grandfather, who belonged to a car club in Los Angeles. We'll be back with more from Bristol after this.
This episode of the Menards Chevy series is brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology. Original Parts Group, the world's largest source for GMA body parts and accessories. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. And by Steel Rubber, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping.
Welcome back to the Menards Chevy series, coming to you from Bristol, Tennessee and Thunder Valley. Well, time for another special award. How about our RockAuto.com Restored Award that goes to this beautiful 1974 Chevy 2. A 74 Nova, you say? Yes, this is the work of Skylar Hagee. And the thing we noticed right away is the unusual color combination.
The drain was painted in a dirt Ford garage back in the late 90s. And we seen a Nova down Pigeon Forge Rod Run painted silver and black, and we liked it, so we decided to paint the top of it black.
Dirt floor garage.
Yeah, you don't see too many done in a dirt Ford garage.
No, not hardly. That's not a real good paint booth, but it's pretty clean. Nice job.
Yeah, I've liked it.
Okay, now, where did you find the car?
My grandfather's brother had it. He kept it in a carport for 3 or 4 years. And we took and got it, and we done a complete restoration on it.
Well, there's the Rock Auto Award. He has an exact model of this car painted right here. Is that cool or what? The engine, now that's not the original 74 motor.
It's a 350 small block Chevy, double hump heads, about 400 horsepower. We've took and detailed it up, got polished aluminum, valve covers on it, air cleaner, L-Brock Performer intake and stuff on it.
I really like these bucket seats. They look pretty modern. What if these are the original seats?
That's the factory 74 Nova seats. We took and we redone all the interior ourselves. The only one we didn't do was recover the front seats.
Skylar had a little bit of help restoring this car.
I've been working on it with my grandfather since I was about 3 years old.
3 years old?
He's had me in a garage ever since about 2004, 2005.
So how many years to restore this?
About 11 years.
Well, folks, here comes a Producer's Award. You're not going to believe this. First thing you're going to ask, right? What is it? I had no idea either. I'll give you a slight hint. It's kind of small. It's a pickup truck. Would you believe this is a 2000 Chevrolet S10, or at least it was. I had to catch up with the owner and find out, is this a kid or fiberglass or what?
I made all the hood, made all the front of it, made all the bed. I used the doors and the quarter panels off and the top off the S10.
What did you make the grill out of?
It's a piece of mesh and I had it chromed, fitted in there and had it chromed, then I put the tubes around it.
What about the headlights?
They're the center parts of a late model Cadillac. I built the rest of it.
And that dashboard, it looks kind of like 56 Chevy?
The center part is of a 55 to 59 Chevrolet truck.
And so you made the dashboard?
Yeah, yes, made it all.
Out of steel?
Out of steel.
Okay, what do you got for a transmission?
It's a 4L60 overdrive.
But it looks like it's a 4-speed.
No, it's the shifter in it is the column shift out of the S10. I mounted it in the floor and turned it sideways to shift sideways.
That's absolutely incredible. What about the rear end?
It's got a Corvette suspension, all Corvette rear end.
You ever drive this?
Drive it all the time.
No!
I don't never trailer it, I drive it everywhere.
It's unbelievable. And it took you a year to do this?
Yeah, part-time.
Part-time?
Year. I work quite a bit.
Well, you must have 5 or 6 English wheels.
No, I do most of it myself. I did all this truck myself except the interior.
You got people coming up and the first word's got to be, what is it?
Yeah, that's the first thing they ask you. They don't know what it is. So once in a while, somebody will figure it out.
Unbelievable, folks. This has to be the #1 Producers Award here at this year's Menards Chevy Series. We'll take a break from Bristol. We'll be back with more beautiful cars after this. You're watching the show all about beautiful Chevrolets. Welcome back to the Menards Chevy Series here at Bristol Dragway in Bristol, Tennessee. Well, time for another one of those special awards. The Duracell Crank It with the Copper Top Award goes to Carl Looney for this beautiful 1970 Nova. And the thing that caught my eye right away, first of all, was the call-out badge right here. 572? You gotta be kidding.
572 GM crate motor, 620 horsepower, 650 torque.
Wow, you were serious building a pro street car.
Well, we wanted to have the power if we needed it.
What do you got for transmission?
It's got a B&M 400,
And the rear end?
9-inch Ford with a 390 gear.
390. Wow. So
Cruise.
pretty quick.
Yes,
It should accelerate pretty well. What color is really a bright red?
Viper red.
So off of the Dodge Viper.
Yes,
Okay, and it looks like you put a cage in it.
yes. It's it started out to be a drag car and ended up being a street car.
So you tied it frame in and everything.
Yes, it's all tied together.
All right, speaking of drag car, you ever run it?
No.
Oh, come on.
I've just shown it. Cruise around town with it a little bit.
What was the car like when you found it?
It was pretty rough. It was like a gutted out race car, and the motor blowed up in it, and we just took it all the way down.
Do you ever drive it much?
I've had it about 5 years built, and I've put about 500 miles on it.
So drive it a little bit.
Yes, about 100 miles a year.
Did car shows.
Yeah, car shows, and like I say, around home, I cruise to Grundy and back. And I use my Duracell battery to start them up with.
No kidding. So that's a good reason that we gave you that Duracell Copper Top Award.
Yep, it works good for me.
Well, it's time for another Producer's Choice. Would you believe the paint job on this 1968 Camaro? Absolutely gorgeous. Wonder who came up with that.
Thunder Valley Customs.
Boy, they did a job on it. Do you know what color it is?
It's House of Colors Pagan Gold.
Yeah, really neat. And you put a little spoiler on the back there, huh?
Well, they actually just molded it to the car. It was bolted when we first bought it, and they decided with everything else that was molded on the car, it'd look a lot better, and it does.
How about with this wild custom paint job and the diamond pleat interior? That's not the star of the car. This is the star of the car.
It's a 496, and it was a 454 when we bought it with a Saginaw 4-speed, and 4-speed didn't last, so now we're running the Tremec 5-speed in it.
The 4-speed didn't last because somebody was shifting it hard?
Yeah, a little too much power with the 454. It couldn't handle it.
Odd little retro touch right there. He's got a nice 8-track tape player, but that's a Pioneer. It's not one of the 8 tracks that came originally in the Camaro. Really cool car. And our final producer's award goes to this beautiful 1956 Chevy 2-door 150 Handyman. That's what they called it back then. Beautiful car, but you know what? When the owner found it, it didn't look like this.
Well, it was in a concrete building, full of NOS parts. Still had the original 6-cylinder and the Power Glide transmission in it.
Wow, and it was not a beautiful orange.
No, it was Pinecrest green and India ivory.
Oh no, ugly.
Amazingly, it was pretty much all there though.
Okay, now you did an incredible job. Start with the motor, I guess.
Well, the motor's out of a 94 LT1. It's a Trans Am motor. Has a 4L60E transmission. And by today's standards, it's kind of outdated, but everybody uses LS motors now. But as you can see, it turned out pretty well.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. How long did it take you to do this?
Off and on, I worked on it since 2003, and we finished it July 31st of this year, so 12 years basically.
Wow, so this is brand new, huh?
Yep, brand new, yep. 4th show out. This is the 4th show, so.
And folks, remember, you saw it here first on Menards Chevy Series.
This episode of the Menards Chevy series is brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology. Rock Auto, all the parts your car will ever need. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. And by Drive Duracell, crank with the copper top.
Welcome back to the Menards Chevy Series, coming to you from Bristol, Tennessee. You know, there's something about a black car that's just absolutely stunning, but if you're gonna paint a car black, you've got to make sure it's straight. And folks, if you look down the side of this car, if you sight across the roof, across the hood, across the deck, this car is perfectly straight. The owner did an outstanding job. As a matter of fact, we talked to him about what it took to do that, and that's one of the reasons he's this week's winner of our Minties Award.
Well, it's about a 3.5-year project, so the guys at the shop spent a lot of hours doing it for sure.
Yeah, sand and sand.
Over and over.
No kidding.
Get it painted, still not straight enough, block sanding again. So Thunder Valley Customs did it for me, they did a good job.
And then you notice the engine, very different.
It is different. It's an LS7, and it's not a GM block, it's an RHS block, which most guys, you know, with the LS have the plastic intake on it. I want to make it more old school, kind of like a small block Chevy would look, kind of more period correct for the car. 550 horsepower at the wheels.
Yeah, no kidding. What do you got the rest of the drivetrain?
Well, it's the Troy Speed suspension, front and back. They're 4-link. It's a T56 transmission, so it'll go.
Okay, and what do we do to the interior?
Interior's by Shannon out of Alabama. He does a real nice job.
Yeah, he did. Beautiful. How long have you had this car?
We just finished it in February. Like I said, it's a 3.5-year build.
What was it like when you found it?
A rust bucket. It was a $2,500 car.
No kidding.
Yeah.
All right, so you take $5,000, double your money.
I will double my money, and you can take it home with you today.
Let me write that check. It is absolutely beautiful, and congratulations on winning our Minties Award.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it very much.
You know, they had other activities going on here at the Menards Chevy Series. We caught up with the track operator to get that story.
This is an incredible event. You know, first of all, it's the 50th anniversary of Bristol Dragway. It's a great event for us. Just tremendous turnout. You know, race cars, over 400 race cars. The swap meet's huge. Great car show. Plus our pro show in the evenings, we get a great spectator turnout. So just a phenomenal show for us.
You've got a really big swap meet down there.
Yeah, it's always, every year it's huge. And it seems like it gets bigger and bigger every year. And it's amazing how early, there's people waiting on us to open up the gates every morning here. And you know where they're going. They're all going to swap meet to see what they can find.
And how many race cars?
Over 400 race cars. In fact, it's so big, we've had to actually start opening a day early. We have to open up on Thursday, just to allow these guys to come in and park and tech, so we have enough time to get them all situated.
Now, looking at the orange shirt, you've got something really special next year.
Yeah, something everybody's talking about. Of course, the battle at Bristol, University of Tennessee versus Virginia Tech. You know, of course, Bristol is right in the middle, talking about the Speedway, Bristol Motor Speedway, right in the middle between two historic football programs. So yeah, September 10th, 2016, there'll be a football field inside that stadium, and they're going to play, and it's going to set the world record for NCAA college football attendance.
Yeah, how many seats we have?
Yeah, well, they're estimating 150, 160,000 people, which
that'll be unbelievable.
Previous record, I think, is around 115.
This is Jim Hicks' 1966 Chevy Nova Super Sport. Now, he bought this car. We'll let him tell you about it. But the reason I wanted to feature this car and this gentleman, he's a typical car lover, okay? He works on this car. He likes coming to car shows, and that's what the Menards Chevy series is all about.
I bought it down in Birmingham, Alabama.
Was it in good shape?
It was in good shape, but he had it already tore apart. And over the last 10 years, I've put it back together.
So over a period of 10 years, kind of a part-time venture.
Yes, sir. Sure is.
Hobby car.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what did the wife say?
She said it is an awful expensive hobby. and that's she just left it at that.
Okay, so she went along with it.
So far, she has.
So far?
So far.
Okay, now, until you go to buy parts.
Yes, and then she has to watch my checkbook because she says I get out of hand.
Yeah, well, you do that with cars. You know, they say money you spend on your collector car doesn't count.
Well, I'll have to tell her that then. That's good.
Is this your first Menards Chevy show?
No, sir. I've been for the last 3 or 4 years.
And you like to come and bring the car?
Oh, I love to come.
Look at the other cars.
Look at the other cars.
Talk to people.
Yes, sir. It's just a whole lot of fun.
And we're all out of time for this week. That'll bring to a close another Menards Chevy series. Hope you enjoyed it. Join us again next week when we'll have more beautiful Chevrolets. Until then, so long, everyone.